My name is Dean Bareham. I am Artistic Director of Green Fools Theatre, and I am the designer, builder, and painter of many of these puppets, also doing some puppet coaching with the actors. Well, in fact, Theatre Calgary approached us. We have been making a lot of giant puppets for zoos, working with the Calgary Zoo and other zoos in North America. And so I think they knew and caught wind that we were doing large-scale stuff, and they presented it to Darren Lee, the director. And I guess, as I understand, there was a few other companies that were in the mix, and they decided to pick us. Cool thing about this show is they had done some workshops of it. So they had some mock-up type puppets in terms of the scale that they were talking about, or the ideas, but they didn't have a horse. So all of these designs, original designs by me, kind of taking some concepts of some of the work that we had been doing, bringing in some of the work that we've done before in terms of the different style of puppets. Yeah, a fairly collaborative, like back and forth, a lot of conversations about what I need this to do and what we want it to do and stuff. So we had kind of a rough concept of some of the puppets, but really what I try to do is put a fresh approach on it. I wanted to put our style on it and use the materials that we're familiar with. How far in advance did we have to build the show? Well, this show we started like 6 months ago on just the concepts and ideas of the show. Once we got the script, we sort of went through and realized there's a lot of puppets in this show. We went through about 6 months ago, started on the design phase. I did a bunch of drawings, and once we got approval, then we started building. We kind of went full production mode November 1st, and then it's been, November, December, January, all the way right through, just powering through to get all these puppets done. What's the challenges to build a puppet this size is that's it, scale. The cost of materials goes up. What we do a very cool process where we use a model or a maquette small. We sort of map that surface of that out, and then we take that pattern and we project that pattern or blow it up large. And so these are pattern based, so they start with a small sculpture maquette of it, and then we build them up. So they're fairly complex. And this one was, some of these puppets are really complex because of what they had to do. Some of the challenges that we're facing as making a horse is one thing, but making a horse that can be ridden on stage is another thing. So that was a real strong consideration of how we were going to make this thing. And also trying to get a sense of realism, but at the same time, the fantastical part of the show. The cool thing about the show is there's this fantasy kind of world, and then there's sort of like the real world a little bit. And so there's a real wide variety of puppets in this, because some are much more in the real tangible world, and some of them are mythical. And so yeah, that was really cool. It's like also just trying to take weight considerations in, make sure that's something that a puppeteer could do, and that we don't kill them. If we're producing the show, yes, I'm bringing puppeteers in. This show has had a lot of actors in it. I don't think that have done a lot of puppeteering. So I think it's a really strong challenge for them. And the thing that I keep telling them is that once the show happens, it's 3 minutes and it's over, but it's the rehearsal process that is tough on them, because they're holding these things up and they've got to hold them. So they're always like, what's my resting position? It's like, well, during the show, there isn't one. But we always talk about the breath of the puppet when you're working with puppets that has a breath. You have to bring that creature to life. Even if it's a big inanimate object, you can bring it to life and it will come alive as soon as you bring breath into it. And the breath is the responsibility of the actor to keep it alive all the time. So this connection to, let's say for the horse behind me, for example, it's a part of the play. It's a cast member. So there's a real trying to get that sense of that it's a real animal and treating it as such. Trying to treat this horse as you would an animal, you wouldn't go up behind a horse and slap it in the butt. You would be very respectful of that horse. So we're trying to, imbue that with this, some of the animals as well. I don't really want to pick favorites, but I am pretty much in love with the horse. It's kind of an engineering feat. And one of the things that for me, that's really exciting about it is that I was able to get like one person to be in the horse. Now, originally the concept of the horse was that this was going to be a bamboo horse. And then once we saw it in its black, majestic beauty, we decided not to paint this thing. And I think that's a good call, because I think what happens is that would probably have taken it into the fantastical realm and probably been very busy. And this set and the costumes and the set are so lush and so rich that I think I didn't want to pull away from that. I wanted it to have sort of an animate element. So we've kept it big and we've kept it black, and it is beautiful. And I'm just really proud of the way that one person can articulate. It's actually kind of like, it's almost like a reverse marionette. Whereas normally the marionette strings are above the puppet, this we didn't have that luxury, so I had to put the strings inside the puppet. So the puppet is suspended, but the one person, by pulling the mechs that are in there or running through bike cables that go inside, they're able to make it walk and run. And when you pull them in such an order, then the legs go in opposition to each other. So I'm really proud of that. And I just love the fact that the head can articulate. And the thing that just makes everyone go crazy is the fact that I made the ears move. And they're always like, oh my God, the ears. I'm like, yeah, but look at this whole horse. And they're like, but the ears. So I love that. I love that. For me, it was like, if we can take this big object, which is, it's obviously not a real horse, it's a big puppet, but imbue it with just a few of those little realistic-like qualities, ears flicking on a horse, for example, head being able to move, I knew it would come to life, and it has. It's so beautiful. And then, like I say, some people just stand there and just stroke its hair, pretending it's a real horse. There's a whole host of shadow puppets in the show, like a lot of shadow puppets, so that was really fun making those as well. So yeah, but I would say horses probably got my heart. And what I tried to do, and one of the reasons why that horse was originally bamboo, is that I was looking at traditional kind of materials. The falcon in this show is to look like an origami falcon. Origami is something that's very, very popular and very prevalent in Asian cultures, mostly Japanese, but the Chinese also have their own. There's also certain forms of paper sculpture and paper folding techniques and stuff. So that the falcon, really, I wanted it to look like that. The eagles were meant to represent air and fabric, so the use of material that looked very much like silk. I was trying to get that feeling of silk on the eagle's wings as it flows. You get the sense of, that different quality of that material. And then there's another creature in the show that I'm not going to talk about, but it comes to life from a painting. So the concept is to make it feel like a giant 2D creature that comes to life into a 3D creature. So I really was trying to play within what was happening in this story, like the concepts in the story itself, but also looking at traditional materials. I'm aware that I'm a Métis, I'm a white passing Métis man, and I felt like I could pay homage to the Chinese culture without appropriating from the Chinese culture. So I really tried to give it my own spin, my own flavor to it as well, while recognizing all those things, but not going, I'm just going to appropriate their style of puppets. No, I wanted to create something that was kind of a realm in between, And I think what's beautiful about this show is that there's such a wide representation of people in this show, like, different cultures, different, backgrounds, very Asian dominant cast. It's all an Asian cast, which is amazing to me. That's such a beautiful, awesome thing that we're doing here. That's something that needed to happen probably a long time ago. And so I think it's exciting. And then the fact that they brought me in was an honor, frankly. But I'm just stoked to see our puppets on stage at Theatre Calgary. It's the first time we've ever collaborated together. So I'm just excited about all of this, all of what this is representing in terms of our culture and our society, and that we are, a melting pot here. That's what's really cool that's happening here. So same thing with kind of the puppets a little bit. I wanted to kind of make sure they were kind of a melting pot of concepts and ideas. Yeah, the Fools, we're just excited to be working at puppets to scale. We've been doing puppets for, 35 years. And now this sort of direction towards making large, life-size, realistic-looking puppets has kind of taken over. We're working with zoos across North America, working a lot with the Calgary Zoo. And so it's just exciting for us to be working with Theatre Calgary. I'm just glad that we got a chance here. We got an opportunity to try to show what we can do, that we make some killer puppets, and that I have a feeling the show is going to blow people away because of what we're doing here.